It's about time we get this coolant pump back into place. Its place is right here beside the motor underneath the ship shield. Of course I should take the ship shield off again, but it's not going to happen, I think. Or not until I figure out I can't put it back on without taking the shield off. So we'll see if I can manhandle it into place. First I need some sealant on the flange there. I've cleaned up the holes and deburred them and countersunk them. So I think it should work nicely. I put that piece of 2x6 underneath there and it's just about the perfect height. So now I got 2 of the bolts in. It's just a matter of putting the rest of the bolts in. It's on. And we need to bolt it on to or connect it to the electrical cabinet. But I think I need to switch lathes on the electrical input and the coolant pump. So I get the coolant pump there and the electrical input there. It seems like that's the way it was before. I couldn't complete this project right now because the holes, 2 holes there, were a different size. And the plug there, or cap or whatever it's called, on the intake wire is too big for that hole. So I needed a bigger hole enlargement drill or step drill. I had only up to 20 mm, so I'll get a 25 mm one. Then we'll be able to reconnect the electrics properly. About the coolant system, I guess I'll just have to fix the pipes that goes from there and along the ship tray, and then it's fastened up here. So I don't have those pieces just lying around. I hope that's the last piece I'll need to paint. Except the new covers I'm making, of course. I'm going to start making the covers for the taper attachment and the cross slide now. And, I have a temporary cross slide cover made out of sheet metal. But I'm going to make one out of aluminum instead. We'll definitely stretch the limit over 7 by 12 capacity bandsaw here. Since that is, that's exactly 12 inches, and this is 13. And the max opening of the vise is 10 inches as it sits now, so I guess we'll have to figure out something. Maybe you can see the cutting lines there. This is for the taper attachment covers, and I'm just going to cut it in 2 equal pieces. And that's for the cross slide cover. I'm going to slice off the edge there since it's way too wide. I don't know why I bought such a huge slab, but the length is just perfect. Could have been maybe half an inch longer, but that's only needed when you have the cross slide right there. That's not often. So we'll see how the cutting goes here. Here's the drawing for the left cover of the taper attachment, seen from the back. That's mostly complete, I think. And here's the drawing or picture of the cross-slide cover. The width and height gives itself from the cross-slide right there. So it's just a matter of milling it out, really. I'm going to use a corner rounding and mill like that to make it pretty. I'm going to move the back piece of the vise here back to the rearmost hole. That's where it was sitting from the factory, and then you can swivel it like so. I don't know really why it's not at the back here, but we'll see when we mount it how it works that way. Then we'll get 12 inches here. Got the vise at the maximum position. And I'm trying to adjust guides here, and it couldn't be adjusted because this blade guard hits that piece of the sheet metal here. So I'm going to adjust that a little bit. That means cut it off to up there so I can move the blade guard all the way in and get the maximum travel out of it. And while I was adjusting things here, I of course broke off one of these here. It's the clamping bolt of the slide for this. So it's just crap, and maybe I'll try to make a couple of new adjusters for those later. But for now we'll just modify what is needed to make this cut. We got a piece in here. I'll see if we'll actually be able to make the cut because it's so close. But I guess we'll just go for it. I actually made the cut with 0.5 millimeter to spare maybe. So we'll see how we can sheet the 13-inch plate and get it in there and cut it. This is how we'll do it. And the aluminium will of course hit that piece. So we'll turn it over and hopefully that will be okay, since we can cut 7 by 12 and this is 13, and 2 times 13 or 13 divided by 2 is 6.5, so it should go when we cut it from both sides. That's how far we got until it bubbled out back there. Now we'll turn it over. Made the cut. And it was obviously a little bit off, but that's due to the bandsaw not cutting 100% straight, not for that sort of size anyway. And one of the sides of the aluminium bar was not square either, so now it's just a matter of breaking that off. Pretty easy. We got a pretty nice chunk of aluminium here too. Since we're gonna face these huge slabs of aluminium, I trimmed the mill head as good as I can, and we have about +1 there. I don't know if you can see it. It's out of focus, of course. Yeah. Anyway, it's +1 there. And back here we have +2, something like that. So it's about 100th of a millimeter out of tram that way. And it's 100 millimeter out of tram the other way too, but it's good to have it a little bit out of tram the other way, because then you can feed the way so the face mill straightens up a little bit. That's the theory anyway. And I think I'll use an 80 millimeter face mill, so we're down to about 1/4 or 1/3 of a millimeter out of whack here. I think I'll be happy with that adjustment. It's not so easy to get it 100%. piece down to the correct width, 203.1 millimeters. And I just realized I have to take off 10 millimeters off the top here. So I guess I'll just take off down to the jaws first and then put it on some parallels. And I'm going to hollow out all of the middle two afterwards, so there's going to be a whole lot of chips here. But first I'll get it down to the correct thickness. Well, I ran out of WD-40 in the last cut, so I had to resort to other measures. And so I mixed up some soluble oil and put it in this Sure Shot sprayer. So we'll see how that works. And I tested the maximum depth of cut here. And I started to 5 millimeter, I think, and it shattered a lot. And I figured out that 1.5 millimeter was about the max I could do before it shattered. And at 1.5 millimeter I can really feed fast, so I think that's what I'm going to do for the rest. I've taken 2 passes now, so we are down 3 of the 10 millimeters. So we'll just go on here and I think that's all the paste milling on this piece. I'm really happy with how the top came out. Can't feel from one pass to another. Impossible to feel it there. You can barely feel it here, but remember we had 1/100th of a millimeter difference when we swept in the table or swept in the head, so we have maybe 1/3 of a millimeter here. This here is going to be the back edge of the cover, so that if you use coolant or something, some fluid gets onto it, it doesn't drip down onto the cross slide screw. So this is raised 3 millimeter from that. So now we'll trim the edges with an end mill and then flip it over, or maybe we'll flip it over first, doesn't really matter, and then we'll start to carve out the inside. Too bad this wasn't going to be a precision surface, because it's really nice. Nice pile of chips too. This side is the only functional side of the whole cover. All the other sides are just open to the air. But this is bolting up to the cross slide. It turned out nice. So I'm pretty sure if the cross slide, backside of the cross slide is perpendicular to the cross slide itself, this cover will sit perfectly. There are times like this that you wish you really had a big honking Kearney and Trekker horizontal, like a 3CK or something. This is slow going on the Bridgeport clone. I'm taking 10mm deep cuts at a time with 1-inch rougher. So I have 2 more layers to go. And, I guess that will be almost enough. I'll look closer at the bolt pattern on this side on the cross slide before I decide how deep I'll make this. Because when you tighten the bolts in there, you have to stick a Allen head socket all the way in here with the extension. So you need the same clearance all the way. The roughing is finished here. And, tomorrow I'll have a look-see at the cross slide and figure out how deep and how wide I need to go to have room for the screws here. I think we have about 5mm left until, or we have 15 total left there and 12 or 13 here, something like that on the other side too. We have lots of ships. They'll just stay there until tomorrow and we'll shovel them into the bucket then. And afterwards, after we're done with the coolant, we'll change the coolant in that sump because it smells bad. The form of the underside of the cover is basically finished, but the mounting bolts are so close to this edge here that I have to relieve this corner about 4 or 5mm towards this side to get the bolt head on a flat surface here. Bolt head would basically just sit all the way up against there. I don't want to take this edge up to any thinner because I'm going to clamp down on it afterwards when I'm going to mill the top. So we'll make an undercut there and just punch cut with the end mill. I don't think that will make it any weaker. Just for the machining, the strength is important anyway, because when it's sitting on the lathe, there's no load on it. And we'll probably take down the inside here a little bit, so there's maybe only 1mm that's this high. So if something gets caught underneath the edge between or between this edge and the cross slide, then it won't rub so much on the cross slide. I finished one side with the ball nose end mill. I just need to finish it with the radius cutter. A little bit there and a little bit there. I roughed it out with a radius cutter first to get room for the end mill because the flutes are so short and I need to finish the backside. It's a hassle, but I think I'll try to do it and instead of switching it over and aligning it all over again. All the fancy work is done now with the ball end mills and radius cutters and stuff. So there are 2 things missing. Mounting holes there and there, or there and there. And then the relief for the dovetail of the cross slide. I'll do both on a big angle plate if I can mount it low enough. If not, we'll have to think about something else. And after that, we'll just need to sand it down for painting. It should almost be left aluminium, like bare aluminium, but we all know how that looks after a while without paint. That's within 100th of a millimeter. And here's the setup for milling the top part. And I need to rotate the head of the bridge port so I can reach over there, or I could remove the limit switch. Maybe that would be easier. I'll probably do that. And this is first setup for drilling the holes here. And I'll probably need another setup, or maybe I should just mill very close to the edge here. Just leave like 1/10 of a millimeter to fix with a file or something. We'll see what I do. The cover is finished for the time being. I relieved the edges here so stuff doesn't drag against the glaze so much. And I made a flat spot for both the screws and the washers. Let's see. Yeah. Top is finished too basically, but I'll get a 4mm radius corner rounding end mill and round out this here too. I'll do that when I get the end mill. So I think I'll mount it in place now temporarily until I get the corner rounding and mill. And after I've done that, I will paint it. But in the meanwhile, I think I'll start on the taper attachment covers. Here it's all mounted up. We'll do the finishing details later.